and qualified at his hands. He was extremely attentive to the state of his students, safeguarding their affairs, concerned for their inner states, seeing that they felt well, making wise decisions, covetous to communicate the truth to their minds and make sure they understood the issues. He made many journeys spreading the da'wah, guiding creation and helping the Muslims. He was always going back and forth between the villages and cities of Hadramaut. He traveled to the 2 sanctuaries, to Africa, to India, to Pakistan, and other than those. And he was always exhorting others to go out in the path of da'wah. Actually, the Shaykh used to go out in tabligh a lot. He used to go out with the Tabligh brothers, and he actually was a close friend of the second Amir of Tabligh in India, who was Sheikh Muhammad Yusuf al-Kandalwi, who was the compiler of Hayat al-Sahaba. And me having a background growing up in the Tabligh work myself, like I said, I had learned Arabic, learned how to speak it at least, from the 40 days I spent in the path of Allah doing da'wah in Yemen, for 40 in France, for 40 days. That 40 days in France, I learned how to speak the Arabic language fluently. I could speak a little bit here and there, but that France khuruj for 40 days in France was like going to a school for 40 days. And by the end of that, I was speaking Arabic. I gave whole Arabic talks in all nothing but Arabic, no English word whatsoever, by somewhere like toward the end of that time. So I grew up in that work, basically. I grew up doing that activity. So while I was over there, I had to ask them, like, did the shuyukh over there do any kind of tabligh work? So when they told me about this sheikh's life, they said that actually he and Sheikh Muhammad Yusuf al-Kandalwi, who was the second of 3 leaders of the tabligh work, he was the second Amir of the tabligh work, they said that they were both close friends, and he even contributed some sources, like some stories and some stories from lives of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ to be included in the book Hayat al-Sahaba. So he was a close friend of Sheikh Muhammad Yusuf al-Kandalwi alayhi rahmatullah, and he even basically contributed to the compilation of his book. So that means a whole lot. That really had me very happy when I heard about that. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So he was active in da'wah. He used to travel a lot, and he used to make a lot of invitation. And that actually really should be the mentality of the scholars. For a number of reasons. That a lot of the tarbiyah, the true tarbiyah of the alim, a lot of that comes from them actively going and mixing with the people and inviting them to Allah. Because there is da'wah to 2 types of people. There is da'wah to the interested people, people who want to hear you, and then there's da'wah to the people who are not interested. If you're sitting at a masjid giving da'wah, maybe like I'm doing right now, like this class for instance, people came who want to be here. Usually it's going to be people that they intended to come. They want to hear the person talk. As opposed to going and finding somebody who probably doesn't want to hear you and go talking to them. But they said, the scholars say that the type of da'wah which most resembles the da'wah of the prophets, peace and blessings of Allah be upon them, is giving da'wah to the uninterested people. And in giving da'wah to the uninterested people, that's when the tests and tribulations come. That's where the person is humble no matter how much they know. And that's when the person learns how to turn to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala as a person who has been broken and who's asking Allah Ta'ala to fix them and to reassemble them. And in doing that, there's a humility that comes over the scholar. So for instance, a person can have learned many sciences and be at the masjid and wait, and where are the students? Why do the Muslims in the community never come and learn? Where is everybody? What's wrong with this community? They don't ever want to learn anything. I'm sitting here, I have this knowledge, and no one is coming and learning from me. But remember, there's the other way to do it, is to actually go knock on their doors and to go find them. Because they may never come to you. You sit and wait for them to come. Allah maybe didn't teach them what He taught you. So to think that they're going to have the same interest in what you know that you have in it, that's absurd, because Allah didn't put it in their heart to love what you love. So you can't expect them to be like you if they don't have what you have. It's like a millionaire is asking why everyone is not driving the Benz. So everyone's not a millionaire like you are. If you give some people some money, they might be driving the Benz, but don't wait around for them to get a Benz because you're a millionaire. Give them some money too, and maybe they want to drive a Benz too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when a person goes out and finds the people, that's when they become humble. Bismillah. And that's when they learn firsthand the actual situation of the community that they live in. Not how they assume it to be. Not how they, in their mind, how they imagine it to be. But they get to see firsthand how it really is. Because the shaitan makes them think everything's all good. Everything is okay. Everybody's Muslim and people are alright. But when they go outside and actually see people not practicing Islam, people are out in the streets, people not making salat, people are born Muslim and don't know how to make the salat. You know what I'm saying? People born Muslim, you know, parents Muslim, maybe grandparents Muslim, but they out here in the streets selling rocks. People out here at the nightclub, people doing all kind of things, but a person, if they have themselves closed off in the masjid, or they only affiliate with righteous people, they will never know what's really going on. And they will always underestimate the problem. They'll always underestimate the problem because all they see is good. And they just think, well, everybody else is somewhere else. But when they go out into the world and see what's really going on, the concern of the Prophet ﷺ starts to come into their heart. The type of pain that he used to feel when people didn't get guidance, they will start to come into their heart. And a person of knowledge has to have that feeling of pain, of worry, of concern, of sympathy and mercy, to truly use their knowledge with mercy on the people, or else they'll use their knowledge mercilessly to condemn people and tell them how bad they are. Instead of building them up and having mercy on them because they have a love for them and they have a care and a concern for them, they'll take the other path and be people that, you know, they'll use their knowledge to condemn people, tell them what they're not doing right, tell them what they're doing wrong, and look down on them. And that's dangerous, especially for a scholar, because it will wind up isolating them from the people that really need them, because no one wants to be around a person with bad character no matter how much they know. So be mixing with the people is very, very essential. That's a very good quality to have. In fact, I remember hearing a story years ago, and I don't want to spend too much time on this part, but I remember years back, we went down the path of Allah, and the brothers was telling me a story where there was, in Mecca, there was a teacher of the seerah, the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Some brothers there were in the path of Allah for some amount of time, and they asked him that, can you come out with us on what's called a jawla, visiting the Muslims of the area, talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he agreed to go with them, and they went on a jawla. They visited a Muslim brother, talked about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not that he's not practicing, but just to increase the faith. And not only that, visiting for the sake of Allah is a good deed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the hadith Qudsi, وَجَبَتْ مَحَبَّتِي لِلْمُتَحَابِّينَ فِي وَالْمُتَجَالِسِينَ فِي وَالْمُتَزَاوِرِينَ فِي. Allah says in the hadith Qudsi that is sound, that is authentic, that my love is incumbent for people who love each other for my sake, and sit down with each other for my sake, and visit each other for my sake. May Allah make us those people too. So you see, they visited, the first person went to go visit, they knocked on his brother's door, and he was so upset. He was really angry that they visited him, because his thing was, look, I'm Muslim. Why y'all coming to me? You think I don't practice? You know, he was really angry with them for going there to see him. And so what wound up happening was, in this anger, he shouted at them, he told them off, and he slammed the door. So the brothers were thinking, oh man, we really wanted a long time, we've been wanting this sheikh, this is a scholar, to come with us, to do this with us. Now the first time we doing it, he had a terrible experience, he's never going to do this again. I know they're thinking like, he's done, he's not even going to, try this again. So, the sheikh, when they went back to the masjid, he said something that was really heavy. And he said that, and he started to shed, actually tears came in his eyes. He said, they asked him to speak, because they usually would ask the most learned brother amongst them or something to give the talk. So he spoke, they asked him to speak. after the salat. So when they made the salat, he gave a talk, and what he said in his talk after the visitation was, and the tears came in his eyes, and he said that I was teaching the biography, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ for 20 years, but I didn't truly understand who he was and what he went through until today. That was